Good afternoon and welcome to Callum Cymru revision sessions. This session will focus on French AS session 3 and will be presented by Madam Lloyd from e-sgol Maes y Derwin. The session will last around 45 minutes, where Madam Lloyd will go through Unit 2, Section D, the essay question. If you have any questions, please use the question and answer section, and we will endeavour to answer your questions during the session. The session will be recorded with the recording and any relevant resources uploaded to the e-sgol website in the Callum Cymru area. Okay, à vous, Madame Lloyd.
Merci. Bonsoir. Ce soir, oui, c'est Unité 2, Section D, the essay question. So to start, the aims of the session will be to understand what the question requires from you. Also, what's new, what's on for this year. So AS Unit 2, Section D in 2022. Okay, so that will be only for this year. That's a slide. Then the thematic or character question, what the question could be this year. And then organizing a structured essay. So I start with la question. So understand what the question requires. So here you've got all the films. Sorry, there are 4 of them, and you'll have to write on one of them, the one you study in school. So some people last week wrote that they're doing La Rafle. So I base my lesson mostly on La Rafle, but I'm trying to introduce a bit the other films. So, for example, the 2 first say Un long dimanche de fiançailles et Le Havre. So if you look at those questions, you see A et B. So there are 2 questions and you'll have to choose one. So first question, and I want to see the structure of those questions, is why I put all the films here. So what is, quelle est la vision de l'espoir? So that's the thematic question on the vision of hope in that movie, Un long dimanche de fiançailles. Okay, second question you could choose. So you read that one, you read it carefully, and you read number B. Explain l'importance du personnage de Tina Lombardi. So you have to explain the importance of a character. That could happen in any film because you have characters in every film. So while I'm going through that, think of who are the main character of your film and what you could say about them. What's the importance in the film? So think that way. Next film was Le Havre. So that film, c'est quelle est, again, look at the question, they look quite alike, in fact. Et quelle est l'importance de Marcel dans le film? Quelle est l'importance de Marcel? So if you check 2 different movies, but quite similar questions, which means that could happen any years, in fact. You could have a question on a character and the importance of that character for certain movies, not for all this year, but in general, yes. Now, deuxième question pour Le Havre, c'était expliquer, again, explain. Pourquoi means why. La vie d'Idrissa. Idrissa is the young child, the immigrant in the film. Idrissa est si difficile, is so difficult. Dans le film again, okay? So 2 questions with the verb explain, which make it easy. You explain and you follow your ideas. And 2 questions where quelle, what is, and more or less the same thing. And you have to explain the vision of hope, or you have to explain the importance of Marcel in the film. So now you got 3 bullet points for each time this year. So if you look at them, they give you a clue about what you're supposed to write about, okay? So, l'espoir des soldats dans le premier, you see the hope for the soldier, for Mathilde, or the despair for the character in the movie. Personnage is character, okay? Second option was, again, importance of a character. So you see a life before the war, a research of the truth, similarity with another characters, okay? Third one was Marcel, so his life with his wife, Arletty, his relation in the quartier, in his street, more or less, in his area, and his influence on Idrissa, so where it can be important. And the last one from this page was pourquoi la vie d'Idrissa est si difficile à expliquer. So his arrival, the loss of his family, his new life with Marcel. So everything can be difficult, needs to adapt, blah, 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 blah. You need to write a lot of things. So explain, you go through, when you explain, you in fact state the thing you're going through. State his life is quite chronological, okay? Arrival, loss of his family, new life. For example, if I take the last one, same with the woman, Tina Lombardi, life before the war, research of the truth is more after the war, and then you have to compare with someone else, okay? So you go through different stage and you describe them, you give example, you can give a little opinion, but it's more, yeah, it could be your opinion on them. What do you think about that? But not too deep, okay? Because you got only 300 words to write. So it's a bit difficult to write in huge detail everything. The two, number 3 and 4 movie are La Classe ou Entre les Murs de Laurent Canté. So it's, again, if you look at this one, 2 questions. Question A, expliquer. Again, l'attitude et l'influence des filles dans le film. So the attitude and the influence of the girls in the movie. And the 3 points, le rapport, only that with relation between themselves, okay? Now, le rapport avec les garçons, so their relation with the boys, and the relation with the teacher, okay, Monsieur François Marin. That was question A. Question B, again, quelle est l'importance? So what's the importance comes often? Not of a character, but of something in the movie, of a theme of the movie, the French language. Quelle importance de la langue française? Or for those of you who are doing that movie, you know that a lot of children are immigrant, but at the same time, they know a lot, one of them at least knows a lot about French language, and she can in fact change the language. So it's really interesting too. And 3 points, how they use the word, the grammar, the teacher, how he does that. The word of the students in the class, they're different. And the word they use toward the teacher. So it's, you have to think about that. And the last film, the one I'll see a bit more perhaps tonight, La Rafle de Roselyne Bosch. So you have to again explain the attitude. Again, attitude, you see, questions are quite similar all the time if you look at them. Des Français envers les Juifs, okay? So you have to explain the attitude of someone or a group, or the importance of someone or a group, or the importance of a theme, like hope or language, okay? So last one, question is a bit different, but at the end, you could reformulate that question like that one, okay? So the question is, sorry, the 3 points. So, les gens qui aident les Juifs, les gens qui ne les aident pas, et Annette Monod, one character was an action a bit different. If you look there, it's the same. You got people as a group, and then you got one specific character in the movie who is important. Donc, question B, c'est comment, instead of expliquer ou quel est, is how. Comment les enfants, so let's focus on children, sont-ils représentés dans le film? Now, that question could be quelle est? Quelle est la représentation des enfants dans le film, you could say, okay? So comment, how? So you say how. In fact, you answer that question, you give you an idea about it, and you back up what you're saying, how they are represented in the movie according to you, but you back up with example from the film, okay? So again, chronological, au début à Montmartre, au Veldiv et dans le camp. Okay, so that's the type of question you can have. So the last one is a bit different, but at the same time, it's quite similar to the others. And those questions, if you look at them, they're either thematic or they're question on a character or group of character. So now, revising for 2022 questions, only for 2022, okay? If you're watching that later on, if you're watching it next year because you want to see how to write the essay, for people who will watch it another time, it's not relevant. It's only for this year. So that's what WGC gave us, and I suppose your teacher spoke about it already. So, un long dimanche de fiançailles, Le Havre, La Classe, La Rafle. So, question A, they said in fact, un long dimanche de fiançailles will be a thematic question. Thematic question on the women, the men, the families, or the soldier, or a thematic question linked with Tina Lombardi or Mathilde, okay? So they could be important, but they will be in the theme. Like, for example, Mathilde could be the theme of hope, the hope which doesn't stop. Tina could be the theme of despair, as we've seen before. Okay, so they could be linked with a theme like that. Les soldats, thematic question about them, how the war affect them, I don't know. You could have different type of question, okay? Question A aussi, but it's more about group. Question A will focus on a group. So if you think of the women, who are the women in that movie? What are the importance? The men, like we've seen about the girl in the class, okay? Quelle est l'importance des filles dans la classe? We've seen that. In fact, you see the girl as a group, but some of those girls are different and they got different type of importance. You'll have to do something similar there. Same with the men, the families. So think, if you remember, there is a family of Mathilde, but there is another family in the film, okay? Et il y a une histoire de désertion. So, Le Havre, they say that's the only thing we've got. Question A et question B will focus on Idrissa. So we don't know a lot, but you know Idrissa will be the center. So you need to know him really well and relation with other people and the situation. So we don't know if it's a thematic question or a character question. It could be one thematic question, one character question, okay? But it's a bit of the same. And Idrissa, again, you got that hope. He's hoping to go to Britain, okay? La classe, they said it will be a character question, and you got two characters. Esmeralda, who is one of the students, or François Marin, sorry, not Marin. François Marin is a French journalist. So François Marin, who is a teacher. Okay, so it will be a character question. So look at the way the character questions are formulated in the past paper. La Rafle, again, is a bit like Un long dimanche de fiançailles, because there is a lot, those two movies, because they set link with wars, there is a lot of things on them. So both, again, are thematic question. Montmartre, le Vélodrome ou le camp de Bonne-la-Rolande, évidemment. Okay, so what theme on that? I don't know, but think of it. Question B, another theme, but will be sur les enfants, les adultes, or a theme linked with Annette. Okay, Annette Monod, l'infirmière. So that's a theme linked with a place, that's linked with a people or group of people, okay? So if you look at the bottom, that's what they explain. First question, sorry, I should have done it following the question. Question A dans un long dimanche de fiançailles est sur un groupe de personnages, okay? It's on a group. Question B is either on a group or is also or on a character, okay? Characters or group of characters. So, soit sur un personnage, thème lié à un personnage, ou thème lié à un groupe de personnages, ok? Et la rafle, so c'est aussi une question thématique. Here, that gives you a little clue about those location. Events at the following location. Ok, quels sont les événements à Montmartre? We see two things. We see people having a normal life, and we see La Rafle. When they come to fetch them, we see different things. But I think perhaps there are other things. That's the two events which comes to my head now. But perhaps tomorrow I'll have another idea, okay? Vélodrome, what's happening in the Vélodrome, okay? That's the consequence of La Rafle, in fact. How people they wake up to the problem they're facing, okay? It's more than a problem, okay? They wake up to ugliness and things like that, okay? While they were quite, they had no clue of what was going on until that event of, oh, sorry, I'm going too fast. In Montmartre, okay? Et le camp, encore le camp, qu'est-ce qui se passe au camp? La séparation des familles, you got a split between the family, le fait que Annette réalise qu'elle est différente. Annette realizes she's different from the rest of the group. She cannot go with them, okay? So you got different events happening there. Dernier, c'est sur les personnages. OK, thème lié avec soit le groupe des enfants, and it's the same than here. Sorry, my pen doesn't work, so I cannot use the pointer. Thematic question sur les enfants, les adultes ou Annette. So Annette, c'est le personnage. You could have a theme linked with her. Think of what theme could be linked with her. Or a group of characters. Think of what are the theme linked with the children and the adults in general. Not only Annette, but the other adults too. OK? On continue. So exemple de question. I thought I wanted to show you what can be a thematic question, and, enfin, une question thématique, et qu'est-ce que peut être une question sur un personnage, OK? How they're formulated in a way. So, question thématique. So I use the past paper of WGEC and the sample material. So I got, I think every year, a question from every year of the exam in the past, okay? It's only 3 years, but here we go. So, expliquer l'attitude des Français envers les Juifs dans le film, c'est un thème. L'attitude des Français, the attitude of a group of people towards another group of people. And that should ring bells. You'll have theme on group of people, okay? So think about that with your own movie. If your movie is La Rafle, yeah, fine, you can think about it. Or the group, l'attitude des hommes politiques envers les Juifs, the attitude of the politician toward the Jewish. You change that for something you haven't seen or hasn't been done already by WGC. But also practice with the one on theme, okay? And if your movie is not, and your film, sorry, is not on that, you could think of, oh, the attitude of whom towards whom in your own film, okay? Commenter la vie des Juifs dans le film. You have to comment on the life of the Jewish people in our movie, okay? Again, like you had commenté within it. So you have to comment on that. So how is their life in different places, okay? At different moments. And back up with example from the film. Quelle est la vision de l'espoir dans le film? That's the theme of hope. What's the vision of hope in the film? That's a clear theme, okay? Then, comment le film représente-t-il? So I've seen that in a lot of ways, how the movie is representing something. And I thought of a few themes linked with the 4 movies, okay? So I thought of those 4 themes, which are possible in a lot of them. Espoir, courage, violence, désespoir. Those 4 themes are more or less, at least in 3 movies. About la classe, violence is in la classe, okay? Yeah, in fact, all of them are somewhere. Even courage, you see what I mean? So you could have comment le film représente-t-il l'espoir, comment le film représente-t-il le courage, comment le film représente-t-il la violence ou le désespoir, okay? And you'll have 3 bullet points to help you to find an answer to that. Now I put a full question because it's a theme on the children in 3 places which are mentioned, in fact, in the 2022 piece of paper will be sent. So, comment les enfants sont-ils représentés dans le film? How the children shown in the movie represented? Vous pourriez inclure les 3 points suivants au début à Montmartre, au Veldiv et dans le camp. So, you see, at Montmartre, they're like innocent people playing. They're like the other kids. They're playing trick. They're taking cigarettes. Thing. Okay. Au Veldiv, they carry on playing. If you look at the Veldiv, but at the same time, some of them really start realizing. At Montmartre, only one is thinking perhaps something going wrong. Rachel. Mais au Veldiv, more of them, and they have to grow. All of a sudden, like Simon, il doit grandir because his mom died and Nono is there, okay? His little brother. Dans le camp, all of a sudden, they have to think to escape. They have to grow even faster, okay? So it's despair or it's courage which is growing. So different things from that. I want to show you with a full question on a theme, okay? Maintenant les personnages expliquer l'importance du personnage 2. That's obvious, it's on the character, okay? And you could have all the name we mentioned. Sorry, I got them on the list here. Annette Monod, Tina Lombardi, François Marin, etc., etc. Esmeralda. So, any of them. Ou quel est le rôle de? Quel est le rôle de is a bit like importance, okay? Because that's the role he's playing in the movie. So it's his place in the movie. So they're quite similar, those two questions, okay? Ou expliquer le rôle, that's even more similar. What's their role in the movie? Why are they there? What would happen if you remove them? What would not be possible in the film if you were removing that character? Think that way. Think the other way around. Like, yes, they are important, or they got a role to play, because if they were not there, something would not be possible, okay? So, quel est l'impact? I put again a full question. Quel est l'impact d'Idrissa sur la communauté? We've seen that one before. What's the impact on the community? Which one? Okay, but you'll have the bullet point to tell you. Expliquez pourquoi la vie d'Idrissa est si difficile dans le film. Why his life is so difficult? Okay, it's about him again. That one I created that question, so it's not from WGC, it's why it's written differently. Esmeralda, you could have something like, if it's on Esmeralda, est-elle and a theme, the theme of the typical student in a difficult school in France, okay? Esmeralda était un élève typique de collège difficile. I was thinking, you could think about that, but you can create your own question, or perhaps your teacher could give you ideas. Okay? Now, you got also question which can be both. Commenter la vie quotidienne, okay, the daily life. If it's in a place, it's more a theme. La vie quotidienne, okay, but si c'est la vie quotidienne de quelqu'un, of someone, it's linked more with a character. Ou quelles sont vos impressions? What do you think? Okay, what are your impressions? That's a bit like comment, okay, of someone. Okay, quelles sont vos impressions sur la violence? Enfin, deux will go with a character. Quelles sont vos impressions? You could have de la violence dans le film. Quelles sont vos impressions? I would say sur la violence, okay, dans le film. Quelles sont vos impressions sur le courage dans le film? It could work with either theme or character, that one, those two type of question. So in your own time, if you watch again that PowerPoint, think of how you could answer one of those questions, okay? Now, once you've seen we've got two questions, A ou B, where once you've chosen your question, you stick to it. You don't think after 20 minutes of writing, wow, it's too complicated, I'm changing question. No, you don't do that. You stick to your question, okay? It's too late. When you start writing, you have to stick to it. So what I would recommend is to read it carefully first. And once you read it, make the decision before starting writing anything, okay? When you start, don't change. Go back. So what do you need to know to do that? You need to know that it's an essay of 300 words, not 400, not 200, 300. Okay, if it's 298, fine. If it's 320, fine. Perhaps don't write 600 words because it will be too long. And the longer you write, the more mistake, it's the same for all of us, we can make, okay? The same thing, if it's too short, you cannot say everything you have to say, sorry. Once you've written an introduction and a conclusion, you got nothing to say if it's too short, okay? So 300 words is not that much. I'm pretty sure you can do it. What I want you to know or to remember is that 2/3 of the mark, and I'm coaching WGC paper, 2/3 of the mark are awarded for how well you use grammar and vocab, okay? Is where you have to show off your knowledge of grammar and vocabulary. So I put the marking grid. So AO3, so that's the grammar side, is 24 marks out of 36, okay? And 12 is for your knowledge of the movie. So you could, that one, you could have the 12 points. If you write example, if you logical write example, those 12 points could be easy to gain, okay? That one, the structure, if you structure well, like if you do introduction, main body and conclusion, structuring USA will give you point, and structuring USA will help you to manipulate the language better, perhaps give you ideas. Plan will help you with vocab and grammar. Okay, so think about it. Try to know your film really well, your character really well. For that one, grammar and vocab, in the vocab you got the name of the people in your film, so that's an easy one. Okay, they're difficult, but if you practice them, should be fine. So on continue. So another thing you need to know the film, as I said. So if you watch it only once, you have to watch it again. Okay, so you need to watch it a few times. The Easter holiday are not far. Watch it again, because we're coming closer to the exam. The exam is on the 20th of May this year. So I would watch it Easter, and perhaps the last week, the week before, not the night before, you need to rest, but in that week before the exam, watch it to make it clear in your head. And just watch it. So you need to know the context of your films. A bit, just to know where you stand. So Un long dimanche de fiançailles, context is First World War and the beginning of the after-war years, the 20s. So you need to know things about vocab, about trenches, mutiny, life after the war. You need to think about that, okay? You need to see that in the film. You don't need to know the whole history of France. You just need to see where that's represented in the film. La Rafle, c'est Second World War. So you need to remember the France is divided in two zones, and you see it when you see the French government discussing with the Gestapo or the German. Okay, so French government, the German occupation. You need to remember that the film, the title of the film is about an event happening in 1942 in July. You need to remember the dates, okay, and you need to remember what was leading toward that event. So how Yellow Stars, the roundup and deportation arrival of the Gestapo in occupied France, just know a bit to understand, in fact, the film, okay? Until 1945 and the liberation, when that's the last image of the film. So you just need to know what's happening at the end, why they're there, why are they those photos on the wall, just for you to, not to write about it, but to know the context, to understand the film, okay? Le Havre, it's about illegal immigration in France, and specifically about how children who want to cross the channel to go to Britain are facing by a legal problem. In fact, they're facing the government, the police, but also how they sometimes helped by the people around, okay? So through that boy Idrissa, who is your main character for this year. Et La Classe is life in a French school in Paris, Intramuros. So the town of Paris, but in a difficult district of Paris, okay? And you see everything from the French school life, which is really different from here. So you have to know what they're doing, those teachers, when they're meeting on inset days. It's a bit different from here. Break time, how it works, lessons, okay? And it's also about immigration. So you could have immigration could be linked with a group of character. So illegal immigration, remember who is illegal in that class? The language problems, because if you arrive in a country when you're 12 or 13, it's not that easy to speak the language, okay? So those problems through the film, okay? Continue. You need also to know the places and how to spell them. So I put some of them. I put them for La Rafle mainly, sorry about the others, but La Butte Montmartre, you got two R à Martre, okay? Le Veldiv, ou Vélodrome d'hiver, you can write both. You could write Vélodrome d'hiver to start and then Veldiv, okay? Remember the capital letter. Le camp de Bonne-la-Rolande, don't forget my little hyphen there, linking Bonne-la-Rolande, okay? So practice spelling them. Spell them like tomorrow, one of them. Check, and in a week time, spell it again. Check your mistakes, okay? Le Havre, remember we don't say it, but there is an H. Le Collège d'Olto, collège, there is an accent there, but my computer is correcting my French. Sorry, okay, don't forget the accent. The Collège d'Olto with a name, because it's the name of someone, you need the capital letter, okay? You need to know the plot. So what you could do is write a synopsis in French of your film. It could be really useful for la classe, because one of the main things, in fact, la classe is a story, c'est l'histoire d'un prof de français, enfin, c'est l'année scolaire de Monsieur Marin, en fait. Hein. It's the story of the school year of one teacher and how he is starting the year, how he's facing problem with his class, how he's helping them, how he's making mistake with them, etc., etc. If you write that in French, you'll have to think of your film and you helping developing your grammar and your vocab. So it's really useful, in fact. I know it takes some time, but it makes you think of the film. So if you have to start thinking, it's good. And you could ask your teacher to check it after you written that synopsis in French. And like that, you'll see where grammar needs to improve and what vocab you could change or improve too, in fact. So you need to know your characters. So I suppose you could do like either table or a map with their name, who they are, how old they are, their relationship with other character, etc., etc. Okay, and an adjective about them. Okay, how would you describe them? What do you know about them? It's time now, if you have ideas in English, to look for them in French. Okay, so spelling their names is the first thing. As I say, I wrote some of the name here. If you watch the PowerPoint later on, I will correct that before making it accessible to you. Esmeralda, she's got a little accent. François Marin, Annette, Mono, double N, double T. Mono, there is a D if we don't say it. Joseph Weisman, Dr. Schenbaum, etc., etc. They're not easy names in Larafle, except for Manette. So try to check them and spell them. So you need to know their relationship to each other. Like I spoke of Simon earlier. Simon Ziegler, il a un petit frère qui s'appelle Nono, il a une sœur qui s'appelle Louise, il a une mère. Okay, you need to know all that and who they are and their importance in the film. Think, are they really main character? Are they a second character, des personnages secondaires qui ont une importance, who are important, but not as important perhaps as the main character, etc., etc. Okay, and what their role, the importance in the film, yes. Remove them from the film and see how they're missing in that movie. A lot of those films won't make sense if I remove all those characters, okay? And as I say, the character traits. So I wrote some adjectives there. Altruist, so when you look altruistic, when you look after other people without expecting any reward, it's just your nature. Like Annette is altruist, you could say that. Serviable, helpful, déterminé, innocent, naïf, ou naive if it's a girl. Okay, think of innocent if it's a girl here. So think of that. Innocent, ce sont les enfants, même les adultes dans la rafle, etc. Okay, so there are plenty of adjectives. I'm pretty sure you've done that. So do a grid, write around if you like spider webs, or do tables. Some people prefer tables. It's not important. What's important is to do it, or write if you prefer writing instead of typing. So now you have chosen a question, you read it again, and you check what's the context, what's the content, and what do I have to do with that content. Okay, so I took an example, la rafle again. So commenter la vie des Juifs dans le film. Vous pourriez inclure les 3 points suivants: la vie dans un quartier juif, les changements sous l'occupation et les événements de 42. So, what's the context? What is the context of that essay? The context, you can write the beginning and the end in the Q&A if you want. C'est la vie des Juifs dans le film, ok? Pas la vie des Juifs en 1942, c'est la vie des Juifs dans le film. So you don't go general, you don't recite everything you learn if you're an historian or if you're keen on Second World War. You write in the film, okay? Then, so, and it's what I said, remember that dans le film, not in general during the war, okay? Then, what content do you have to write about? That's easy. What is the content you have to write about? you can write it in English quickly in the Q&A. You have to write about those 3 bullet points. Okay, if you have another better idea than that, you could change a point, but 3 points is good for an essay. And here you can follow a pattern and give you a you say you point, you write your example, you explain why that point, etc. You know how to write something. So la vie dans un quartier juif, les changements sous l'occupation et les événements de 42. Okay, all that link with the Jewish people. Okay, how they live in their area, how their life change in with occupation. So the small changes which didn't change their way of thinking, like l'étoile jaune, and then the big changes like la rafle. Okay, the event of 42, link with them. Okay, so don't start talking about other people in the film. So often go back to the question when you're writing to make sure you're not doing something else. Okay, so plan, you should plan. Check that you're not wandering off on a tangent. I've seen that before. Give example from the film. What you can do before you start writing, your plan is there more or less, okay? The main body plan. So you could write an example from the film by each of those bullet points. Example of the life in a Jewish quarter, like everybody, the women are knitting, etc., or doing something with their baskets. The children are doing like every kid. They're running out everywhere. Okay, so see that, and then write an example for changes. Write an example like le parc. Ils n'ont plus le droit d'aller au parc. They're not allowed to go to the park anymore. And le Veldiv and la rafle. Okay. So, but about la rafle, write perhaps a concrete example or two. So, what are you asked to do in that one? You ask to comment. So you comment. You describe that Jewish life, and you comment on it. But your comment is your example. Your example will help you to explain that life. Okay, comment on it. And you don't need to go too deep this year. That's for next year, okay? Just quickly, because you won't have. If you write an essay, if you have already written an essay, you notice that 300 words is quickly reached. So organize a structured essay of 300 words. Always an introduction, une partie principale, main body, avec 3 points que vous développez et que vous justifiez en vous aidant du film. Okay? So when especially with comment, the justification is the most important bit. You justify what you're saying. Okay? Ils souffrent, ils sont exclus de la société. You're commenting on their life. They're excluded from society. Prove it. They're losing their job. The dad was to go to the south of France to carry on working. They're not allowed to play with other children anymore, etc., etc. Okay? So you have to justify with the film, and you have to write a conclusion. So I would leave a gap between my introduction and my main body, another gap with the main body and the conclusion, and I would indent. If you indent the beginning of every paragraph, you make it clear that's my new paragraph, that's my new point in the main body. Okay, you have to think that others who are marking you are a bit stupid, so indent. Okay. And use the present tense to write your essay, because it's a tense you know how to use since quite a while for the main of it, and especially learn to use a third person singular plural. In GCSE, you learn to speak about yourself a lot, and tu. Je, tu. Now you need to think il va, il est, il a, il mange. Okay, that's easy. But il s'échappe, reflexive, et pluriel aussi, ils ont, ils sont, ils vont. Okay, remember third person. And when I say present is not only the indicative, the present we use mostly, but you have the subjunctive present. Il faut qu'il soit somewhere. Okay, you got also, you can change a bit. It's not stick to only one present. You could write something about the conditional, perhaps not conditional, about the past if you refer to something happening before, but mostly write in the present tense, because It's easier in a lot of ways. So introduction, about 40-50 words, okay? No more, otherwise you won't have room for the rest, okay? 40 would be great. I never managed to do a 40. It's like I never managed to finish on time. But here we go. So here I put the four questions. Comment le film revient-il les femmes? Quel est l'impact d'Idrissa? Monsieur Marat est-il un professeur consciencieux? Comment est la vie des Juifs dans le film? Okay? So, mention clearly what film you are writing about. Par exemple, pour Un long dimanche de fiançailles, dans le film Un long dimanche de fiançailles de Jean-Pierre Jeunet, so you need to know that, because examiner will have all the question, okay? And it makes it easier for them to know which film you study in school by writing by mentioning the title at the beginning, okay? Then Le Havre, pareil, dans le film Le Havre d'Aki Kaurismäki in that case, okay? But think about if you learned another way to say it, to mention your movie, do it. But that just was an easy formula if you haven't thought about that, okay? So mention the context linked with the question, okay? A lot of those essays are questions. So, comment le film représente-t-il les femmes? So the context is the representation of the women, and it's a question. So you could ask a question at the end of your introduction because your main body will be answering that question more or less. Okay, and so is what I'm saying. Finish with a question, rephrasing the first sentence of the essay question. Okay, rephrase comment le film représente-t-il les femmes? Quel est l'impact d'Idrissa, etc. If there is no question, you try to think of one, and it's where that comes. There is no question, so I wrote an introduction for that one. It's an example, okay? It's not anything amazing. It's just I tried, okay? So I'm using the previous slide, so I wrote on that. Dans le film La Rafle de Roselyne Bosch, yes, I'm mentioning my film, on suit, that's my context, la vie des Juifs de la butte Montmartre, okay? We're following the life of a group of Jewish, mostly that group, okay? There are other Jewish in the story, but mostly the one from la butte Montmartre, okay? So that's my context. And it's linked with that sentence, if you look at it. Et on découvre leur vie, and then I'm going through my point, okay? I'm mentioning the thing in my second sentence. So my context is in the first and the second. What I will be talking about, okay? What I will be writing about. Leur vie dans le quartier juif, l'occupation allemande, les changements sous l'occupation, et les événements de 42. So, in a way, yeah, question 1, I present the film. Question, sentence 1, première phrase, je mentionne mon film, general context. Seconde phrase, second sentence, what I will be talking about in my essay. I will be talking about those 3 bullet points, but I didn't copy them word to exactly as they are written. I changed, I added them in my sentence, okay? So it's 3 sentences more or less, the introduction. And I give a bit of I explain a bit what I will be writing about. So I context what I'll be writing about. And you finish with a question. So, I put comment évolue leur vie au cours du film? Okay? So, comment est la vie des Juifs? How is their life changing during the movie? Comment leur vie change-t-elle au cours du film? Évolue is faster. So, try to think if link with your film you got question, essay question with no question, try to think of how you could rephrase that as a question, okay? But that's just an example. You don't need to do it my way, but it's a good way to have a support. You need to start somewhere. If you start thinking 3 sentences, first one, general, second one, what I will be talking about, third one, a question to which I will be answering, it makes your life easier often, okay? And I read 33 words and I was really pleased. Next one, main body. So follow the 3 points given and use the ideas you've written by them, okay? So use your example or few words you wrote. Don't repeat the same words if you can come up with an alternative, okay? I got none in my head now, but if you know, like, puis, enfin, puis, et puis, ensuite, puis, for example, if you're linking words, you're linking your IDs because you have to do that. You write puis once, you could write ensuite another time, okay? Pour finir, finalement, well, that's only once you write that. So you need to use connective, but if you know connective word, different connectives to say the same thing in French, please use it. So use a wide range of structures when you're contradicting something, bien qu'il y ait des changements. Okay, although there are changes au début du film, I'm sick with a film, les enfants continuent à vivre plus ou moins normalement, ok? Ils continuent à aller à l'école parce qu'on le voit, ils continuent à jouer dehors, etc., etc. Ok? So bien que plus subjunctive, remember that. So it's a good one. Use a wide range of vocab and phrases. That's the same thing. Don't repeat the same word. Adjective about the character. Don't say all the time like elle est gentille, Annette, elle est gentille. Non, elle est altruiste, elle est décidée, elle veut les aider, etc., etc. Le film, and use specific film vocab a bit if you can, or you do it at the beginning dans le film La Rafle ou dans le film Le Havre, etc. Mais la scène, le personnage, use those specific film vocabulary. You don't need to recite film vocabulary, but you could use those 3 words, for example. And you could use phrases like on peut remarquer que. We know that something is happening, okay? Then use the on form of the verb. On voit que, on peut dire que, on peut remarquer que, okay? When you speak, that's the way French speaks when they explain something. Okay, so you can see, you can say that, blah, 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 okay? Indent, as I said before, your paragraph to make it clear and structure them. Structure them by using connective, by using contradicting sentence, as I did bien que, by using puis, by using enfin. Start the first paragraph with premièrement ou tout d'abord. Tout d'abord is a good one. T-O-U-T, D''A-B-O-R-D. Sorry, my pen doesn't work. Etc., etc. Okay? I wrote that one, I forgot, sorry. Tout d'abord, firstly, en second lieu, deuxièmement, enfin, finally, finalement, etc. You could say, etc. So indent and structure them. Use connective, as I said, puis enfin, ainsi que, as well as use time adverbs. Quand ils arrivent au parc, when they arrive in the park, ensuite, après la rafle, after the rafle, okay? And you got your conclusion to write to, okay? Conclusion, same as introduction, 40, 50 words, no more. Conclusion, sum up what you have discussed in your main points, okay? You don't write any new ideas. All of a sudden you're thinking, I forgot that, but too late, okay? Don't write any new ideas, just sum up what you've written, okay? Use a phrase to show that it's a conclusion. En conclusion ou pour conclure. Okay, just in case you forget to indent, even if you indent, be clear for us. En conclusion, pour conclure, je dirais que, ou le film montre que. So, Roselyne Bosch, La Rafle, I'm using the same movie film because it was easier to try to write an introduction and a conclusion for the same things than to change. So, that's the conclusion I wrote. Again, just an example, nothing set, okay? En conclusion, I use a little phrase. Je dirais que le film montre, the film shows, comment la vie des Juifs s'est détériorée, how is changed, it deteriorate, ok? Leur vie d'abord, so first, semblable à celle des autres Français, similar to the French, that's my first point in Montmartre, devient de plus en plus dure, become harder and harder. I cannot rewrite everything, so I try to find a way to say it. Et, look at all those connective I'm using, and the easy one. Et s'achève, so finish, fini. You could say fini, but s'achève is a bit more elaborate French if you want. So it's a new word for you. Perhaps it's not new, in fact. Par la déportation de milliers d'entre eux après la rafle du Veldiv. Okay? There were thousands in the Veldiv, so you know that. And I finished there because that's the three places mentioned, or three things mentioned, because you got the event of 42 in your case. And I finished there. Okay, I'm not writing a new idea. It was 47 words, this one. Okay, so in fact, 47 words is a lot. So pour finir, to finish, fully answer the question asked. So point, example, explanation a bit. Write a clear plan before you start. In a way, use a bullet point on the paper because it's already written for you, and add things like example or IDs linked with them. Check the spelling of the names of the characters and the places when, okay? Make sure you don't wander from the question. So go back to your question from time to time. And once you have finished your essay, read it again and check that everything is clear and makes sense, okay? You're just to check, we all know where we make mistakes. So check what's your weak point in a way, like if it's adjective agreement, check that and check that the whole thing makes sense. OK? And that's it. Ben, merci beaucoup d'avoir encore écouté ce soir. Et est-ce que vous avez des questions?